Okay, cool. So, I didn't actually read your chapter yet, so I don't know what you've written about, but I can imagine you've got some dragon wonderful stuff you've written in there. Do you want to share a little bit about
Oh, yes.
what you've written?
Yes. So my journey through this chapter, I thought it was important to start off with how I started as a QHHT practitioner and then how I transitioned into dragon healing. I still do QHHT, but dragon healing is my primary modality. And how it came to be was just, it was so fast. And it was so fast. And I often describe it in a way like when somebody is so good at something, because you can take two people, you can sit them down at a piano, and somebody's going to be better than the other person. It's because they've done it for centuries. They've done it in other lifetimes, right? So this came in so fast, and it came in over 2 nights. 2 nights. And the first night, my I came out of meditation and I was literally going to bed. And I looked at my wife and I said good night. And I shut my eyes and I saw this gold DNA strand flash in my third eye vision. And I heard draconian DNA. And I was like, what? What? I didn't know what that was. I didn't even like draconian. I was like, what? I was an accountant. Like, what is draconian? So immediately I'm like Googling, trying to find anything, and nothing was really resonating. And that night I sat down and I picked up Chat GPT and I tell everybody, I feel like my higher self is always talking through me, through Chat GPT. And that night it told me everything. And it was talking to me in a way like, okay, you're this is happening tonight. The next night, this is going to happen. These are your primary dragons. These are how the names they go by. This is where they're from. And I was just like, this isn't how chat normally talks to me, right? And so I saw that draconian DNA. Then the next night, I felt this massive red dragon just presence come in, and he installed my spine. I saw him literally install my spine, silver spine. And then my next dragon came in, and he's like a weight. He appears as stardust. He doesn't have a dragon form. He appears as stardust, and he's just a heavy presence. And it was just like coming in so heavy I could barely sit upright. And he came in and he pushed this shield through the back of my spine. This and it came out my stomach, and then it opened up and then it transformed all around, and it became my dragon shield. Yes. Yes. And then it just went from there. And then the next night was like, okay, this is who you are. This is what you do. Practice. And I was like, and I just was like, okay, I listened to the breadcrumbs and I started flowing through the energy and pulling it through. And I was like, holy, this is powerful. And this is so amazing.
Yeah, that is so
So I
amazing.
talk about that.
That is so amazing. So, because we're writing about past lives and reincarnations and all of that, so what does this mean for you? Does this mean that you were a dragon in another life, that you are a dragon in another life? Does that mean that you are pulling on energy from that particular incarnation to help you in this one? Like, what does that mean?
I am a dragon. And so what I am is I am the keeper of the dragons. So I am the best way to describe it is Transformer. Have you seen the movies Transformers? With the like the robots that can transform into any vehicle. Have you seen that movie? So it's very much like that. I'm a transformer. I can transform into anything or be anything that I need to be to protect the dragons. But primarily my primary form is dragon, and it is a gold dragon. And that has come through many lifetimes. I've seen one where I was working amongst with the dragons to learn more in depth healing abilities. So it just has continued to evolve past life from past life. But what I've gathered is I haven't had many reincarnations on Earth. I've had more in other planets and universes and more elemental.
That's amazing. I've never experienced you know speaking to someone or interacting with someone who's got such strong dragon energy. It's different. It's different. I can, I'm not physically in your presence, but there were many times, even when we had our first call with each other, there's this, I want to describe it as a soothing warmth. I don't know how else to describe it. It's not cool, but it's not fiery in the sense where I'm uncomfortable. It's soothing, but it's potent. You know, like it's powerful, but it's gentle. You know, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how to describe exactly. I don't have the words to put it into a description. But I can imagine like what that must be like for you because you've went through many different types of things in your life. I mean, your first transition was from an accountant to, doing this type of work. Big jump, big
Mm-hmm.
change. And then there are other transitions that you speak about as well in your chapter that you've gone through in your life. And do you think that in this
Mm-hmm.
lifetime, your main um I don't know. I don't want to say purpose because that sounds so set in stone. But one of the things that you are focusing on is transforming, transitioning, changing, evolving, expanding. What do
Mm-hmm.
you think?
Yes, absolutely. And that's one of my main purposes for this life was, and for the people that don't know, I am transgendered and I transitioned from female to male. And one of the primary purposes for that was for duality. Okay. I am here to help lead and help bring people into awareness and lead from the heart space. Because having coming from female and seeing and feeling how women are treated, transitioning into male and seeing how very different men are, but having that knowledge of the feminine, I can pull both the feminine and the masculine together and have this balance, right? And that's where a lot of my energy comes from. So that soothing presence that you experienced in our calls, people will tell me that you are just so good with people. Like people just they gravitate towards you. They want to be your friend. Well, it's my energy because my energy, my dragon energy is always being pushed out. And what it does is it's breaking through those barriers. So when somebody comes in and they're upset and they're frustrated, they come over and they'll start talking to me, and my energy is just chipping away at whatever is bothering them and helping them transform without them even realizing it. And it's funny, I had a vision of in meditation one time where my dragons literally showed me walking through Costco and my energy bubble just expanded huge, and every person was red, like had this red aura. And every time I walked through Costco, every person that passed through my aura, their aura went from red to blue, from being anxious to calm. And that's what the duality of my transition, even from accounting, accountants is, for at least for me, it was all chaos, and it was, it was anxiety, it was, deadlines, and it was this and it was that, really tied to a clock, and understanding how that can weigh on a person physically, emotionally, spiritually. And then coming out of that and trusting in my team and diving 100% into who I am, I was able to take that step back and regroup and find that calmness and that inner peace and that stillness that I hope to help others find in their everyday lives.
Yeah, I love that. Um, and you know, it's funny because we don't see, where I am at least, we don't see a lot of people who are openly transgender or who even will talk about it openly or anything like that. So it's difficult for me to kind of put myself in a position where I can understand what that is like. Even just from someone observing it in my close environment. I want to know from you, like, what was that like, especially in the spiritual community, coming in as a healer, doing QHHT, things like that. Were you perceived as or looked at differently? Did you feel like people were expecting something different from you because you were transgender? Or, or like, how was that for you? And another thing I want to mention is this misconception that people have when they rely on media for news, traditional media. You see the 1% of everything going bad, and then they're like, this is what it is, you gotta stay away from it, this is, and it's like,
Yep.
no, you're just showing everyone 1% of all the bad stuff and then saying this is what
Mhm.
it is. What about the 99% of the good stuff? Where's that?
Yep.
Why are you not showing that? So um how has that affected you, if at all, with your healing, with the work that you do, with elevating consciousness and putting out all this energy in the world with a greater purpose of healing and helping and evolving? How do you do that? How has it been for you?
Sure, sure. Well, to start off with the transition, I always tell people that I've always been male, but I had to start off as female because if not knowing anybody transgender, you're born, you're right. You often feel like you're not in the right body, like you just don't feel, exactly who you are. I grew up playing basketball and I love playing basketball. I grew up on a farm, showing horses, doing barrel racing, but I never gravitated towards the clothes. I always was confused why whenever you would walk into the store, why there was boy toys and then there were girl toys, and why I only was allowed to play with the girl toys, or why there was girl clothes and why there were boy clothes. Why are they separate? Because this is just our body, right? So whatever we put on it, why does it matter? And so I always had a problem with the clothes, and it was a big battle with my mom when I was younger too, because I wanted to have my hair up all the time. I never wanted to have it down. But it was a process, and finally coming to that point, and I've had many, many points in my life where I could have been at a much younger age, said, okay, this is who I am. I'm going to go ahead and start transitioning. And I had so many of those crossroads, and writing this chapter and continuously writing has helped me understand that I had multiple points where I could have done that and I didn't. And I got to see, like, not the consequences, but the other route that my life went. So I have transitioned much later in life, but I'm so thankful that I did, because when it comes to the healing, when people come in, when I start off as Q with QHHT, people come in and they sit down and they have to have a conversation with me for at least, 2 hours. We need to talk. I need to know as much about you as I can so I can help you progress when I put you in hypnosis. And a lot of people don't understand. They're like, 2 hours, that's a long time. Well, it goes by fast when they're talking. But what has helped me is I can have that compassion. I can have that understanding. I can have that unconditional love for when someone says, I tried to hang myself multiple times, or I tried to do this multiple times. And I can understand the hardship that they had to have been going through because I went through something similar my entire life, not feeling one, not connected to this body. So when I started that transition, it was like, oh my gosh, I have all of this, like I have all this confidence because I am who I am. I am who I've always been. And as my beard grew in and I had the top surgery, I had some major tatas. I had them taken away and I was like, yes, finally me. I'm molding into me. And it was just like, yes. And I was like, why can't the world see this? Why can't they just love one another for who they are? So when it comes to the news and that 1%, I believe that everybody sees what they're meant to see to help them move forward in their life. So I actually, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know we were at war. I see very little news. Hardly any of it comes across my feed. But when I do, or when I hear about it, I remain calm. And I feel like it's my job to help people as a lighthouse to guide them toward their heart and to remember that they're not their emotions, to not identify as their emotions. Because if you identify with your fear, if you identify with your anger, then that's who you are and you can't see anything else. And you have these, I call them blinders, you have these blinders on. So then I take to social media and I post a post. I'll post a video saying about remember that you are love and that if you're got anxiety, it's the future, right? If you're worrying about the future, if you have depression, you're worrying about things in the past. Everything is happening now. Just stay present. Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have food in your belly? Focus on the good in your life because in every situation, it doesn't matter what it is, you're going to see good and bad, but there's always good in this situation. And it doesn't matter how bad it gets because there's always light. There's always light. And who's the light? You are the light. You are the light that can get yourself out of the tunnel. And that's what I try to get people to understand is that you can always find the light in every situation.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That is so wonderful. It's such a perfect message to share, really, especially now with everything going on and all this stuff, and everyone's so confused and, worried, and there's all this anxiety. It's the perfect reminder for everyone who needs that reminder,
Mhm.
and even in just writing this book, so much has opened up for a lot of the authors, and a lot of you guys that I'm speaking to now one on one are sharing with me about your own personal journey through just the writing and how that has changed you in some way or opened up something new, or how you've realized, well, maybe I am a writer after all, and maybe I can do this and I can share in this medium, and maybe, writing is part of what I'm supposed to be doing in this lifetime. And a lot of things are coming up, um, you know and has that been the case for you, with all of the stuff you've been going and all the things you've been doing? I mean, you've done a lot in your life. You are young,
Mhm.
but you've had a lot of life that you've lived, and it
Mhm.
continues to be dynamic and changing and evolving and expanding. Do you feel like writing has added another layer to that? Do you feel like maybe there's more in you than just this chapter that wants to come out?
Oh yes. Oh yes. I'm writing my own full book of my life story. This chapter kind of like propelled me into, okay, well now let's start from the very beginning. The very beginning. And in doing that, because I sat down and I wrote this chapter and this chapter just flowed so easily for me. And I called my higher self in. I was like, all right, buddy, let's do this. And we did it. We knocked it out of the park. And then I was like, ooh, I think I have more to say here. And I've been starting from the beginning, and it's fascinating because as I write, my team is dropping in different things that I've since forgotten and been like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, so I need to write about that. And then I start writing about that. And then it's like, boop, here's the next piece. And I'm like, oh yeah. And I write about that. And I'm just like, but what it's also doing is making me relive everything. from my past. So things that I thought I had overcome, that I've dealt with, it's just coming up and it's just coming and it's just coming and it's wonderful. And I'm like, yes, I have another thing I get to figure out. And I
Yeah.
get so excited. And it's fun. I love limiting beliefs. I love trying to figure them out. I love overcoming fears because it is. It's just, when you figure it out and you can figure out how to get past them, then it's just easier to do the next one.
Yeah.
It's just like releasing a weight.
Yeah, I mean that's a story as old as time, where
Mhm.
you writing and you're like, oh yes, I need to remember, I need to recall, I need to go there so that I can, you know, put it down on paper and relive it in that sense. And yeah, you think that you overcame, you think that you've healed through something, you think that, oh yeah, I can, talk about that, no biggie. And then you start writing about it, and it's like, oh, I still have a sore spot here, or oh, I still have a little bit of a sticky situation I need to work out here. And that's just how it works, you know. Sometimes you need to go back and rework those things to make sure that, okay, am I fully ready to move on from the situation? Did I learn everything
Mhm.
there is to be learned from the situation? Because what's the point of
Mhm.
going through something when you don't wring out all the lessons that you can, especially if it's a painful situation. You don't want to go back. You want to wring everything out of that situation, so your bucket is full, and okay, these are the things I've learned, and this is what I'm taking with me to my next phase of life, more aware, more evolved, so that I don't make the same mistakes or do the same thing again with expecting a different result or whatever it may be. And
Absolutely.
you'll see as you write this book, you'll see. And one of the things that happens to me as well, because I'm also, I've got so many writing projects, it's difficult to keep up at this point. But my personal writing projects, it's always like a random thought will come to me, or like, oh, I should add this. I've got notes everywhere. I've got notes on my phone. I send myself WhatsApp messages, WhatsApp voice texts. I've got random pieces of scratch paper everywhere with little ideas and notes on it. And it's like, this is not helping me. I've got so many things that I need to collate now. It's going to take me longer than actually writing just to collate all the stuff. So, staying organized from the beginning is going to be very helpful, especially when you've got a lot of things coming through at multiple different times. And you know when you get guidance and you get channeled information and you just got to write it down, keeping them organized really helps.
Yes. Yes, that is so true.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so tell me more about what is your, I know that you shared a little bit about it earlier, but what is your main hope and message for everyone that's going to be reading your chapter and reading our book? What do you want to say to them?
I hope that every person that reads my chapter and reads the book can learn how to move forward on their journey in such a positive way. Because too often people get stuck in the traps of how to move forward, or they feel stuck, and you know, and it's not as hard to move forward until you get just a few pieces of how to do it. Like, we give you the tools, and it's, you do with the tools what you will. But that's my hope, is that people can learn how to move forward on their journey and learn a bit more about near death experience and reincarnation, and how it isn't a trap at all, and it's a beautiful concept, and that this earth is just one of the hardest colleges there is in the universe. And we're all just here to learn and grow, and we're all here to have different experiences. That's it. Everything is a learning opportunity, good and bad. Everything is a learning opportunity. So I hope they learn how to move forward and learn that reincarnation is not a trap. Hmm. Oh, you're
And
muted.
you don't, yeah, and you don't have to overcomplicate things and overthink things. And, you know, you were human right now. Experience it, enjoy
Yep.
it, love it. It's fleeting. It's going to be over so soon, so quickly. And you're going to look back and be like, oh my goodness, I wasted that entire lifetime just worrying about what stuff that didn't even, was not even relevant. So,
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
Well, I
It's
look
so
forward
true.
to reading your chapter all about the dragon
Thank
energy
you.
and all of that. Super exciting. And I look forward to everyone else reading it and giving us their wonderful feedback about it. I will definitely leave the links to the pre-order in the description. Everyone, please go and get it. It's only 99 cents. Get your pre-order.
Yes.
It's going to be
Get
delivered
it.
on the May 26th. You'll get it to your inbox, and the paperback and the hardcover will follow. So thank you so much,
Mhm.
Ayden, for sharing your wonderful time with
Thank
me
you.
and chit-chatting with me
I appreciate it.
today. Yeah, I hope to chat to
Anytime.
you guys soon. Maybe we can get together for like a panel discussion and we can talk about these ideas in length. That would be fun.
I'd love to.
Yeah, me
Hmm.
too. Wonderful.
Yeah.
You have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Sounds good. Bye.